I hope you can see the screen. We begin with structuralism. That is the first topic. Shall I ask you questions then? You ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then, in plain words, can someone please define what is structure? That is studied in
A
structuralism.
pattern.
Structure is a pattern. Okay. For example, in a text, how can you show a pattern in a text?
Text. I studied somewhere that when we read a poem, it is part of the larger cultural context.
Yes,
And
yeah.
yeah,
Right. I have read it at the same place that you have read from.
beginner.
Okay, fine. So that is that.
Yes, sir.
And how about fiction?
Fiction means, sir, novels.
Novels, for example, the whole narratology thing is kind of structuralism. So, what are the elements of structure in fiction?
Elements of structure in fiction.
The elements of narrative itself are elements of structure in fiction.
Narrative, sir. I think the how formalism also states that a plot based on same kind of like when a hero goes, generally hero goes after a goal, and then he will be discouraged, or some kind of hindrance will
Right.
be
Formula.
on
The
his way.
formula.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Fine. So, Claude Levi-Strauss, he borrowed his concepts from who?
Cultural anthropology.
For structuralist anthropology, he borrowed his core concept of minimal pairs from. Oh, this is an important question. Minimal pair, yes. Pardon? What is a minimal pair anyway? Minimal pair. What is it? For example, pin and bin. They are two words with all the elements that are same but per and bur sounds. Once you change per into bur or bur into per, the word changes. Therefore, per and bur, the phonemes are called minimal pair. So this idea of two elements in a structure that are contrastive was taken from de Saussure, Ferdinand de Saussure. Okay, please do remember, Levi-Strauss took his core idea of structuralism from de Saussure. Okay, now, who are the four central structuralists in the history of structuralism? The four central structuralists. They're also called the Gang of Four.
So one has to be Rolla Barthes.
Yeah, okay, right. And then three more to go. Do add Levi-Strauss.
Okay.
So you've got Levi-Strauss and Roland Barthes. We need two more to go.
So Roman Jacobson.
That is Prague Linguistic Circle. That is prior to structuralism even.
Okay.
How about Foucault?
Foucault.
History of ideas. Foucault. And history of the or a theory of the unconscious mind that is equal to language structure, Lacan.
Lacan.
Right.
Psychoanalysis
So
plus
these four are called the Gang of Four, among which Barthes then changed sides. So from structuralism to post-structuralism, that is Barthes, right? So which work of Barthes is said to be the turning point in his career from structuralism to post-structuralism, and what is the year of that work?
Death of the author?
That's a question or an answer?
No.
The death of the
Answer.
author?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then
Death of
what's the year?
1967 or 67?
7. Sure?
7.
7 or 8?
Yes, sir. Because I have read it several times, but I cannot remember.
Okay, as far as I remember, it is 68. You just double check. It's very, very important because it's a turning point in his
Okay.
career. So please do confirm it and then learn it by heart for one final time. Okay. Now, who gave the concept of intertextuality? That's an easy one, but still. Intertextuality. Mohit, are you there?
Yes, sir.
So, any idea?
Sir, it is 67. 67. Mine was correct.
Thank you.
I was
Okay.
correct.
Fine, wonderful. It's good to know that you are correct. Now, intertextuality, someone?
Yes, sir. I think Julia Kristeva.
Why do you
Julia
think?
Kristeva.
I mean, your answer should come bang like Julia Kristeva, and that's that. You got the answers, and still you are thinking. Don't think.
Okay, sir. It is Julia Kristeva.
Right, Julia Kristeva. Wonderful. Now the next question is, I cannot give multiple choice, and that it becomes easy. Otherwise, I would have gone for that. So, structuralist poetics. Who wrote it? Structuralist poetics. Very famous book it is. That talks about the linguistics kind of science of literature, just as linguistics studies language, the science of language. Similarly, structuralism will be the science of poetry, if you want. So that was the fundamental idea of structuralist poetics. So who wrote it? Some of the key books, and they must be learned by heart. The year was 1975. Jonathan Cullen. Okay, he was looking for a grammar of literature. That is structuralist poetics. What did
Sir,
Vladimir Prop do? Vladimir Prop. What did he do? What is his contribution?
Sir,
You're not
26
studied, guys.
point.
Hmm?
So Vladimir Prompt is mainly associated with Russian school of formalism.
Fine.
Okay.
And that
then
too
Vladimir,
specifically with fiction. Folk
yes,
tales, rather.
folk tales. Yes, just what I was talking about in the beginning.
So what did he do? Vladimir Prop?
Sir, he gave this 7. First, he gave this 7.
Just don't give me the details. Morphology of folk tales. That was the name
yes,
of
sir.
this book. So once you say that, everything is clear, right? So that's what he did, and it's a wonderful work. Okay, narratology is
so
based
I remember,
on that.
sir. Initially, he gave some 7 and then 26. I actually
he did give seven roles,
learned
specific roles,
yes,
and
sir.
then one person may play more than one role also. There is a facilitator, there is somebody who goes on a quest, there is somebody who obstructs the path, and so on and so forth. Again, formula, the very formula of all folk tales. Then the question is, who were the main members of the Prague School of Linguistics? Asking here because from Prague School came the central ideas of structuralism. So who were the main exponents of the Prague School of Linguistics? One of them is very, very important because now we are coming towards him. So that's why. You guys have not studied theory yet because these are basic questions and you're not answering them. Roma Jacobson, that rings a bell. Prague School. No? That language had certain functions that it performs, especially in literature. So Jacobson gave the two poles of, fill in the blanks, please.
So Jacobson
Gave the two poles of
metaphor
what?
and metonymy.
Absolutely, the
No?
metaphor and metonymy substitution poles. These are the two ways in language operates. And the 6 elements in his model of communication are elements. What are the elements in the model of his communication? If you don't have them now, just learn them by heart. Okay. The 6 elements and the 6 functions, both elements and functions. So 6 to the 12. You need to remember 12 of them. It's very important because that's one of his central things, metaphor, metonymy, pole, and the 6 elements and their 6 functions. If they ask questions about Jacobson, they will ask something like this. So addresser, addressee, contact, context, message, and code. These are the 6 elements. And emotive, poetic, referential, phatic, conative, these are the functions. Okay, so this is one that you have to learn. Also, you will have to learn what is this guy? Roland Barthes and his main work, because he gave, okay, how many in his work, in which work of his did Roland Barthes arrange the sections of his story, short story, into 561 lexias? What was the name of the work of Roland Barthes? And which work did he analyze?
So mythology?
S/Z. That was the name of his work. Now, what did he analyze? Which work from French, let me tell you, did he analyze?
So,
that is not a very hardcore question, but still I'm asking. Sarrazin, Sarrazin, La Sarrazin, okay? Because Sa and Z, they are interchangeably pronounced, so that's why S/Z, the Sarrazin. And 561 lexias were grouped in 5 codes common to all narratives. And these 5 codes are, and then also you will have to learn them by heart: proeretic, hermeneutic, cultural, semic, and symbolic. Okay, your notes must have all this, and that has to be learned. Also, for example, death of the author. So the year of death of the author, the central ideas of death of the author, the importance of death of the author. These are the things that you will have to make 4 to 5 sentence long notes upon. Okay, that's my suggestion. They have not asked deep questions from individual texts yet. That is very true. But as far as theory is concerned, you may see they have not prescribed any texts. Criticism, they have prescribed texts, so it becomes easy. In theory, they have simply written structuralism, and they have not even put post-structuralism after structuralism. So how much do you cover? That is the problem. So at least in this 6th unit, we are on our own. And when we are on our own, we must prepare in excess, not less, but more. So that's the general idea. What is schematization? We are coming towards the end of structuralism. What is schematization of a text? Schematization of a text. This is from Peter Barry. So if somebody remembers a little bit of Peter Barry.
Sir, I have not read Peter Barry. Sir, I find Peake and I are more.
No, Nair and Barry are different things. You see, Nair is more about theories and history of theories, and Barry is more about application of the same theory. So they are complementary in a way, you may say. Barry will help you understand how theories are applied upon literature. Therefore, they become literary theories. And Nair will make you understand what are at the base of what is the philosophy or core idea, in specific literary and cultural theory. So if you are reading, you can go for both of them. Now, deconstruction, shall we talk about that? Who was the first translator into English of deconstruction of grammatology? The first English translation.
Gayatri Chakravarti Spivak.
Right, very good, very good. And now, what was the year in which Derrida gave that famous, um, symposium lecture on structure, sign,
In
and play?
Hopkins University.
Right, year. What was the year?
So 1961.
A bit later, a bit later. 60s, yes, but a bit later.
Then it has to be 67.
Okay, 67
No?
is your favorite or what? 66 this time around.
66. Okay.
Okay, 66.
Okay.
Now, which philosophers in this structure, sign, and play, which philosophers did he criticize in general? If you may remember a couple of names.
So he generally criticized the structuralists.
Can you name some
No,
established
no.
philosophers that he criticizes or deconstructs if you want?
I can guess. I think.
When you are
Rolla
guessing,
Barthes.
let's begin with Plato himself. It's a good guess to begin with Plato. So yes, Plato. And he takes name of someone. Rousseau. Okay. So at least two. Have you guys actually read the text of structure, sign, and play?
No, sir, never.
Okay.
We have always studied
Summary.
what is deconstructions. Yes, a summary kind.
Right.
The one we study in PKNR. Sir, have you read the whole essay?
I went into deconstructing that essay itself. And when I started reading that essay, because he was talking about the concept of center, then I had to go and read parts of Euclid's geometry. Then I came back and so on and so forth. So one page took me approximately 5 to 10 days. And I did not have that much of time for the rest of the pages, but I read approximately 1.5 pages. It's not about understanding. It's about, assimilating his system and ideas. So it's a wonderful exercise in mental agility, if you want. So if when you get time after the interview, probably when you do get time, I strongly recommend you go and read this one essay and engage yourself, engage with him, just like he was engaging himself with Rousseau or Plato. You engage yourself with Derrida. He's not infallible. You can prove him wrong, but then while proving him wrong, you can become strong. So you can do it. Now. Il n'y a hors du texte. Il n'y a rien hors du texte. What does this mean? Or il n'y a pas de hors texte, one of them. Because in translation, there is no outside text, or there is nothing outside the text, or something like that is translated. What is its meaning actually? It's by Derrida. So what's the meaning of there is nothing outside the text, or there is no outside text? It is translated in two ways. So don't worry about that. I mean, if you have not encountered it yet, you just make a note, and of course I will share the recording. This has to be worked upon, because one or two questions from Derrida they always ask. So I say that some key terms of Derrida, they must be prepared. For example, under erasure or sous-rature and différence. These are the terms that have to be prepared well. So what is the combination in the word différence? What are the two words that are hidden?
Difference and difference.
And what do they mean?
Sir, what I understood is the difference is like one word is different from the one entity is the it represents the absence of the other part. Am I correct, sir?
Now you are indicating a finger towards the metaphysics of presence.
Yes,
Logocentrism.
Yes, sir.
Logocentrism or metaphysics of presence. So
yes,
of course, yeah, we are coming towards it. Phonocentrism and logocentrism and metaphysics of presence. So difference is twofold. One is the actual system of language that is based on differences. So A is
Yes, sir.
simple word difference itself. A cat is not a cat
Difference.
because, as Plato said, we have an ideal cat in our mind. A cat is a cat because it's not a dog, it's not a cow, it's not a snake, and so on and so forth kind of concept. And that is coming from Saussure himself. And then deferment, that is, until somebody reads the written text, it does not come into being as an idea, and then it is not interpreted. So the difference, the time lag between text and interpretation, that is the deferment of interpretation. So it is both spatial and tempora, that is difference. Now, metaphysics of presence, what's that? He talks about history of ideas, and then he talks about the metaphysics of presence.
So
Metaphysics of
metaphysics of
presence, yes.
the presence of one superpower
One
in the
truth,
center,
one the form,
one truth.
some meaning
Uh,
if you want.
hmm.
So, you know, there is some referent with relation to which you make sense of the whole structure if you
One
want.
center.
One center. So by
Yes, sir.
decentering that center in the very beginning of his essay, he was challenging the whole theory, history of ideas. He was saying that when center itself does not fall under the purview of structure, because everything has a structure and every circle has a center, but the center is a concept, and that itself must have a center, but then center of a center is not envisioned. Therefore he was challenging the whole fundamental of Euclidean geometry, and that's how he was showing us that what we base our ideas upon, even that may be challenged. That is the classical aporia. He's not providing answers, he's taking us towards a point at which we can start searching for answers. Okay.
Sir, is deconstruction and post-structuralism are same to some extent?
Yes, they are similar and contemporaneous also at the same time. Because when you talk about post-structuralist thoughts, do you not talk about Derrida also?
Yes.
And Foucault and Barthes and Althusser and everyone. So deconstruction, you may say, is more wedded to Derrida. And post-structuralism is
philosophical.
a wide spectrum thing. It includes Derrida and many others. But then we have deconstruction in our syllabus. Even when we go to the next page, we'll see that we have deconstruction only. We don't have post-structuralism. So we'll only cover it in the passing. That's that. Although post-structuralism in itself has got very important thinkers. There is Althusser, there is Barthes, there is Foucault, of course. But then we are not going deep into there. There is so much to study and so less time. But at least their fundamental works, you know, may be read. Right. So to begin with, yes, why is post-structuralism called post-structuralism? Is it
So
after
because
structuralism or as a response to structuralism?
so it is in disagreement with the ideas propounded in structuralism.
Okay. What is the fundamental difference between structuralist and post-structuralist theory?
Okay. So structuralism lays emphasis on structure and deconstruction.
See, basically speaking, structuralism was the science, as Jonathan Kuller very famously makes the claim. Structuralism was a scientific kind of approach to something that had been very subjective till now. The idea was to bring the scientific rigor to, for example, analysis of literature and language. And the idea was that there is one meaning present. There may be a range of interpretations, but finally it can be zeroed down to one central line of thought, one central line of meaning. So presence, metaphysics of presence, and scientific pretensions, these two are central to structuralist theories. And post-structuralist theories, they just deflate these two very pretensions. Deflation of the scientific pretension, and of course, the very denial of the metaphysics of presence. There is no one meaning. There is a permanent deferment of even interpretation. So they question your interpretation, they question any interpretation. So there is a kind of free play, if you want, of surface versus deep. So it's a kind of tussle between scientificity versus amorphousness of any field of thought. So structuralists were trying to, in a way, you may see a parallel between modernism and postmodernism also here. So these modernists, although they were mourning for loss, they were still looking at a possibility of reconciliation with what had happened, and also a return to a golden age. But the postmodernists, they were enjoying the very surface, the absence of meaning, the absence of one referent, and so on and so forth. So probably somewhere around 1968 May, a new kind of structure of thought was born, especially in France and in the continent. And from where it took around 15 to 20 years to spread to the United States, and from there to other parts of the world. But probably we should focus upon whatever happened in 1968. And we'll see that many of our continental thinkers, they were involved in the evenema of 1968. So I also make a reference to whatever happened in May 1968. If you go and check even on Wikipedia, a little bit of it, that would be wonderful if you have not checked by now. What is the contribution of Paul Demont, and to which school did he belong? Paul Demont. Okay. Then again, because of your hesitation, I strongly recommend you make a kind of two or three sentence summary of Derrida, of Demont, of Althusser, of Professor Spivak, of Lyotard, of Baudrillard, and so on and so forth. They are not written in the syllabus, as you can see, but then they are very, very important. And of the French feminist psychoanalysts like Kristeva and Sigzhu and Irigaray, if you could make 2-3 lines summary of what their central idea is, or with which specific thing they are associated, and what is or are the names of their famous books and the years, that will come in handy when you make the final revision. I repeat, all these theories, their central theorists, year of their main publications, the name of those publications, and one or two core ideas associated to them. Okay, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. But
Yes.
I have heard almost all the names you just
That's
said,
right.
but
You have heard them, but because you have not prepared,
yeah.
therefore it's not coming
Yeah.
off your tip of the tongue.
So Paul one, I heard it for the first time. So
No, that's
tell me?
that's not worrying at all. It's not a problem. It's a minor issue. It's not a big issue.
Yeah.
The big issue is that, do you have these notes? Have you prepared these notes? If the answer is no, then now is the time. Now is the exact time. Because lot of things are happening in UPHESC that are telling us that the coming time is going to be even more difficult. Just yesterday, I had the news that some conclusive kind of information on English, a couple of guys paying 30 lakh rupee for paper and so on and so forth with their names and details. It has started circulating on WhatsApp. And it is not improbable, because these guys appeared in 46, appeared in 47. They were not even waiting list, but now they are in the top 10. That is a sudden kind of mutation. It generally doesn't happen. So, not only political science, English department is also facing some such kind of crisis, if you want. Therefore, uh, I will not say that the same pattern will not be repeated. So you will have to do something extraordinary. You're not going to get paper. I'm quite sure. So you need to prepare hard, and you cannot leave anything. So please, Giles Deluge and the Felix Guattari, also prepare them. Very improbable. Okay, they will not be asked. I'm declaring that Deluge and Guattari will not be asked, but still I'm saying that do prepare them, because on that day I don't want you to miss even one. Okay, even one. So let's look at the isms separately, and let's take the central theorist of each ism separately. So you leave 4 to 5 pages for all these theorists, and strategically the theorist, the school to which the person belongs, the central works of that person, the year of that work in bracket, and what are the central ideas that person gave. You do something about that. Okay, so that is what I suggest and strongly suggest. At present, I'm very sorry to say, you guys are not giving me very positive vibes. I'm not, getting confidence from this interaction. You need to work really very hard. Every day is the last day. I mean, you're thinking that you will prepare just before the examination kind of thing, or 1 month, the last month. uh, then you're not ready for 51. You are living in the age of 46 or 47. The time has changed, because the cutoff of 47 was 57%. If I remember, the cutoff for 46 was 50% approximately, if I remember. So, no, sorry, the cutoff of 46 was 99 point something out of 200, and the cutoff of 47 was 56 point something out of 200. Can you believe that? So something like that. You can't compare that with 51. So please be ready. You're not ready. Okay, I'm not discouraging you. I'm showing you the truth. You're not ready. I mean, give your life to preparation. There is no way out. You can't run away. This is not right. This is not right. You're not prepared. You came to a discussion on, and you knew that the first two topics will be structuralism and deconstruction, and you're not giving rapid fire kind of answers. I'm not asking you very deep questions, and I'm not asking you many questions. I'm asking you very fundamental questions. So, and I'm not going to any books also. They are very basic questions. So next time when we meet for historicism and new historicism and feminism kind of things, I totally believe that you'll be ready, 100% ready. Every performance is important. Our interactions, probably some of them will give you a few questions for the forthcoming examination. So take them seriously. Okay. And I wish you luck. So we meet the day after tomorrow. And this time around, we try to cover more ground, because as you see, there are so many theories and we have only 1 week. So at least chronologically speaking, formalism, new criticism, they come before structuralism and deconstruction. So at least we must be able to cover the chronologically theories that came before structuralism and post-structuralism. Also, do remember that generally our syllabi, uh, because we had choice to leave, so most of us, we have not studied Indian poetics very properly. So and technological criticism I did share with you, but I think technological criticism is not in syllabus of any MA. So the last two things, technological criticism and Indian poetics, I think that will take a lot of time. So I'm thinking about that. In the meanwhile, you go to the core, these hardcore things of criticism, prepare them well. We'll meet the day after tomorrow, same time, and then we'll talk. Okay. So anything related to method of preparation that you want to talk about? Not content, only method of preparation you want to talk about? No? Wonderful. Please, when I recommend you prepare some notes on something, do prepare those notes. Why? Because when you prepare notes, in your mind, the content will go in the unconscious mind. That is the reason. Otherwise, I can also make a table and give you the table, but that will be cooked by me, and I will benefit the most from it. And I don't need that benefit because I've not filled up 51. So go for it. Okay. Do prepare notes and rigorously. I wish you luck. Happy preparing.
Okay.